Wait a minute. Hi, I'm Kate McKay, and welcome back to Survive to Thrive. Today I'll be interviewing a woman named Karen Levitt. Now, Karen Levitt was a lifetime nurse, and then in 2013, she was in an accident that resulted in a traumatic brain injury. And Karen's personal story is really pretty amazing. And also particularly during this time when many of us are dealing with a crisis, whether it be our socioeconomic, health, financial, physical, or emotional. So thank you and welcome, Karen.
Hi, Kate. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Just waiting for you to show up. Just click on that on video and we're good.
Okay.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure. Thank you.
Awesome. So Karen's also a lifestyle coach, and so we'll definitely be talking a little bit about the service that she provides to people. So Karen, how are you doing right now during this current challenge that we're facing in our world? We're at March 31st, 2020.
Yeah, I'm doing as well as can be expected. I mean, I have a lot to be grateful for, right? My background as a nurse, much healing from my brain injury, thank God. So my background has come back. Yeah, right now my heart and my thoughts are with my coworkers. Because had it not been for the car accident, I would be right there with all of them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Wow. That's absolutely. So we'll just, calling in healing energies and safety to all those people. Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. So you understand that from a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. And how long were you a nurse, Karen?
20 plus years.
Yeah. So that was your thing. Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, So what are some advice that you could provide people who are currently struggling, Karen, considering the fact of what you've gone through in your life?
Sure. Well, for one is to feel what you're feeling. And even if you can't pinpoint it to one emotion, allow yourself, be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my strength is now. I speak and talk about that. So vulnerability. We don't talk enough about it. We don't allow ourselves to really show or feel what we are. Everybody says, "Oh, I'm fine" at the water cooler. Really? So the first tip is be vulnerable, lean into it. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not pretty, but do it because we're made very uniquely, and what we suppress does come out. It manifests itself in an illness or another symptom. So yeah, take care of it now.
Story. Well, I think we talked about this before, but it's really that whole idea behind it takes great courage to be vulnerable. And I think Brené Brown did a service for a whole bunch of people. And in fact, a guy that I know messaged me the other night and was like, "Hey, have you heard of Brené Brown? She's on 60 Minutes. And I was like, oh, she's been around a long time for me, for anyone in the personal development world. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that this person right now, a man waking up to Brené Brown and her message is wonderful, that this is the wave of awareness in vulnerability and courage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I refer to her frequently.
Right. So that's great. So vulnerability is absolutely key. And in what ways are you seeing that being of service right now? I mean, what ways is being vulnerable going to help people through challenges?
We're all experiencing this. I mean, we are all watching this. Weeks ago, we watched, the news or heard the news, however, handheld devices that we all have. We watched China. We saw pictures, maybe, however you get, like I said, you get your news, Italy, and now here it is. And in pretty short order, we are now sheltered in place, which is amazing because people are mumbling and grumbling about it and complaining. And I think to myself, well, wait a minute. We don't live in a cave. We don't have to literally hunt for our food anymore or have firewood to heat. So we're not living like cavemen, right? We have, yes, the grocery store can be like a jungle, I get it. But, we have so much to be grateful for. We have modern technology, which allows us to be here together and allows friends and family to be connected. Like I said, we all have handheld devices. And thank God for YouTube that gives us other outlets.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely appreciating this technology. And that's another reason why I'm doing these conversations, is that some people can, be a part of something where other people are being honest and authentic in their challenges and their struggles, and ways that we can serve each other on this. Because I think that ultimately, yes, we have our basic needs met, but the challenge is that we haven't done necessarily, a whole bunch of people haven't really done the personal development work. So now all of a sudden we're sitting with ourselves, and vulnerability and these other things, like, what does that mean when my world is falling apart and maybe my relationships aren't super healthy with both myself and others, and maybe even with your spiritual power, whatever that higher power is. So the sitting in I think is extraordinarily challenging for most of us, including me. I mean, it's the reason why I'm doing this. I was like, I had enough gumption to say, I got to do something. And what are the ways that I can add value and connect with people? And not everyone has that capacity. So my hope is that us as the viewers are coming up with ways that they can awaken to their own sense of brilliance, whatever that is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. So in what ways then do you feel that you've manifested through your challenges? I mean, you had a traumatic brain injury. And so what do you want the people that are listening or viewing, what do you want them to know, and in ways and strategies that they can apply to not lose hope right now, Karen? I think it's really important for us to talk about that.
Absolutely. So, as I just shared, we all had updates, right, in the news. The day when I was leaving work and had my accident, there were no precursors to that. It just happened. And literally my world went dark. And I saw that time, 7 years ago to present day with the news, there were some striking similarities. I had to navigate a world where my world went dark singularly. People around me didn't understand. I lost the ability really to walk and talk. I still looked fine. I mean, I had gone through what I term hell and back, but looked fine. So how that correlates present day is somewhere along the line of during my accident and going to many of my appointments, I made a choice, and it was not even a conscious choice. Something inside of me, bigger than myself, rose up. And I decided that I was going to live fully. I didn't even know what that meant. The word that came to me, as you know, Kate, is resilience. I couldn't even say it. I was working with a speech therapist. And so I would say, I want people to know that we all have resilience inside of us. And you never know what it's going to take to bring that about or how it will show up. And so for me, it was gratitude. And it was really hard to fathom gratitude in the midst of an accident that almost took me out, took away everything that I knew, stripped me of everything, all my identity in the world. But yet I would put my hand on my heart, my eyes would open each day, and I would say, I'm grateful. And yeah, I was angry. I was upset. I had depended on people for everything. And I was the person who did everything for everybody. I'm a nurse.
So that just brings up that whole thing about humility. And I think that we're moving into a time where people are potentially losing things and people in their lives. And how do we stay humble in that? And right, exactly like what you're saying, Karen, you are strong and independent and successful and was the caretaker. And to be in that position of vulnerability, humility is a big, oh my gosh, that, and as you know, like for me, the same thing. It's like my loss of my son a couple of years ago is that same place. It's like, in how many levels must I surrender?
Exactly.
How many levels must I surrender?
Exactly.
multiple layers. It's an onion. And I think that that's why you and I are in the work that we're in. And I think that when, teachers teach from the place of knowledge and awareness and heart-centered space. And I think that, boy, if I can help lighten people's load and help them with their awakening, then isn't this world a better place? One conversation at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
We are all the same. Take away the job title, right? The resume. That's what we're finding, right? We are all the same. We're all feeling the same. We're all vulnerable, and like, who's going to be the first to show it? We're all scared to death to show it, and it takes, like you said, great courage.
So there are, just tapping into that a little bit, again, thinking about actionable ways that we can help people with that. What would you suggest that people do in that time when they're feeling lost or feeling frightened or feeling like the rug has been pulled underneath them in whatever way, whether it's actually happening or emotionally happening or whatever way that manifestation is happening for people?
So like I said, the first thing is to feel it, to really feel it and let it out, express it. If that means you go into a room, if you have children, whatever, you don't want, you go into a room, you cry, right? You grab a pillow, you cry, you do what you need to do. If you're mad, you get angry, you scream into the pillow, punch the pillow, really non-violence is always the key here. Yeah. But, right, let that out. Then I would say, really nurture yourself. We hear the phrase self-care. It means take care of yourself. You can't take care of anybody else until you put the oxygen mask on yourself.
Yes.
We're so busy, we're so connected that sometimes we've become disconnected. So I would encourage people to really, it's the small things. If you're tired, allow yourself to rest. And try to eat well. And if you binge, let it go. Like, okay, there's always tomorrow, right? Take a hot bath, take a hot shower. Maybe look at photos, look at something that's going to bring you a smile, right? Really, it's the small things. And I know I don't mean to sound trite, but they do matter. Sure. And most of all, know that you matter to other people in the world and that you're not alone. And reach out, use technology, the phone, the text, this platform. If you're older and you're not good at it, call someone and ask for some help. Right. To have them do a FaceTime. And if it still lingers and it still feels really heavy, the nurse in me is going to say, call a professional. Really, don't ever be too proud to make yourself vulnerable.
Exactly. I can't stress that enough. That there is absolutely out there people that will help you when you're feeling, despondent or depressed, or if you're experiencing like feelings that really are inhibiting you even doing your daily function. That's the time to reach out to a mental health professional. Clearly I'm a coach and I deal with a lot of that, but we're more trained to work with creating intentions on where you want to go in your life and creating a powerful vision. Clearly as a coach, we tap into your past because your past informs your present and your future. However, if you feel that you're not able to get out of bed, you're not able to enjoy, really to an extreme, please reach out to people because we understand what that's like. I know that certainly I've had dark times in my life and I've reached out to the professionals because this time is super, super isolating. Not only just for the elderly, but any marginalized community and the lower socioeconomic, they don't have the technology. So what are ways that we can serve that, even a small check helps. So.
And I want to say, I was also updated yesterday from coworkers who I know that said that it's a particularly challenging time for anybody who is battling, who's in AA or any kind of substance abuse. So, wow. So I want to turn this into a PSA, but also want to highlight that if you're really, walking a walk of sobriety or abstinence from medication, whatever it is, reach out.
Oh, that's a great point. I really appreciate that. That is really true. So anyone who that's struggling with has a history of substance abuse, please reach out to those people. That's a great, because they've lost a lot of ways. They've lost the community. I'm sure AA is, is going online, but for some people, I went walking with the woman that I'm living with now, and I'm saying hello to everybody. Even, we went to get coffee and we're 6 feet away. We're far. And I'm like, hello, hello. And she goes, why do you say hello to anyone? I said, because I could be the only hello that they get today. Because there's people like walking around and I don't know if they're by themselves at home. So, reach out. Just because you're 6 feet away doesn't mean you can't smile and look at somebody and send love towards them.
Exactly.
Mm.
A smile goes a long way.
Yes. So were you always, Karen, would you consider yourself by nature a resilient person?
I think so. I was always, I was raised, that's just how it was. You rolled with the punches, so to speak, right? Whatever life gave me, I always stood up. I always, if life knocked me down, I tried again, right?
Right.
And I was a competitive athlete, so yeah.
Right,
There's
exactly.
No quitting.
Right. So do you, so how do you find yourself channeling that inner athlete or that inner warrior? I mean, I know that's a theme for you. So how do you tap into that inner athlete, that inner like badass, as I write about and Claim Your Inner Badass? What is your process for tapping in?
Oh gosh, the process. It was quite a process. It was quite a deep dive for me. I keep my inner warrior, my inner badass close now. Mm-hmm. I don't let it ever slide away, what was my exact process? I mean, like I said, it was so in-depth, Kate, it would take a long time.
But like the bottom line is that because you think that because you had that background as an athlete, you were able to tap into that. I mean, I think you have. I think we talked about that.
Yes,
that's really been your saving grace.
Yes, well, I think, 20 plus years as a nurse and an athlete, it was a privilege to care for people as I did as a cardiac nurse. So, you see a lot, and you don't show a lot of emotion. In fact, I said that to someone. They said, you don't seem affected by what's going on in the world. And I said, I've gone into nurse mode. No, because nurses, I will say, we compartmentalize.
Wow.
Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be able to serve the people we serve. So I would say compartmentalization for me, having that skill to navigate, it's like, I take it in small segments, right? How do you eat an elephant? Not in one bite.
Yes.
Compartmentalizing, and knowing that when I feel like I'm up against the wall, I always have this inner fortitude, this strength that I will take a deep breath, stand up, and move forward.
Wow.
Move through whatever it is. And
that's a powerful image. And I like that. And if we expand on that concept of compartmentalization, and like that could be nougats as in like what your daily habits are, or if you're just going to have a moment that you're going to set to freak out, and knowing that this is your freak out zone and you can do your ugly cry or swear or do whatever you want, but you compartmentalize that freak. Compartmentalizing your exercise, compartmentalizing your meal prep. There is something to be said in that. And also it's like the step-by-step, what's one step I can do now in order to feel that I have some sense of control in a state of feeling like I'm out of control.
So I have a visual that goes along with that, if I may share. It might sound silly. So someone asked me, and because I explained compartmentalization to someone, I said, well, how do you do it? And I said, okay, so I want you to think of inside your head, there's shelves. And on these shelves, there's emotions or feelings or thoughts or whatever it is, whatever's going on, right? And only one can come off the shelf at a time. Because otherwise it would be a train wreck.
Totally.
Right. So, right. Your shelving system is a mess. So I had someone who was battling anxiety. I said, well, so I want you to think about shelves and all of these items on the shelves, and you can let one down. Maybe one comes down for 30 seconds, maybe one comes down for 10 minutes. It's okay. Once it goes back on the shelf, it stays on the shelf.
Yeah.
And there's no beating yourself up or, negative self-talk.
Right. That's a great way. That's a wonderful image. on so many levels. That's fantastic. I love that. Awesome. So just take it off the shelf, feel it completely. I mean, that goes back to your point number one, which is just express the feeling and name it. Because what happens oftentimes with emotion is that we're just stuff, you know, I feel, whatever the feeling is. I remember I had a coach say to me one time, you have to welcome it in the room. It's standing at the doorway, right? That feeling is right there peeking at you. Welcome it into the room and meet and greet it full on, because that's the only way you're going to move through it. When we name an emotion, it releases its power. Exactly. So that's why it's so important. Like for me, I go, oh man, I'm anxious. And then I just start laughing because it's just like, oh, I can feel it. And it's like, notice where it is in your body. That's another thing that's super important, right? Would you agree on that, Karen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We're all energy, right? And, our body's 70% water.
Right.
So exactly.
Tapping into that. So is there anything else that you'd like to add? This has been super helpful. We've talked about expressing the feelings, nurturing yourself, really understanding that you matter and you're not alone at a time where many of us feel alone, and also the power of resilience. I love that. And boy, the suffering that you underwent in your accident, being able to come out on the other side with, a book, a thriving coaching business, and I'll be able to share your links as well underneath in the show notes. But is there anything else that you'd like to share, and also where people can find you?
Sure. Well, I want, people to know that, yes, what we're going through right now is really large. It's larger than life. No one has ever seen this, right? Yeah. And fear is meant to be felt. And we as humans want to know the outcome. We don't know the outcome. So there brings another level of fear or anxiety or, all of it. I can speak clearly and say that you are not your circumstances. You are not your situations. This does not define you. I want you to know that deep inside of yourself, there's resilience. Put your hand on your heart, feel it. That is beating. You don't even have to think about that. Excuse me.
That's okay.
You don't even have to think about having your heart beat. It just does. Mm-hmm. You are strong. You are whole. You are complete. And you are not alone in this. True. I think kindness and love matter more now than ever. Mm-hmm. And people are afraid, and fear brings anger. Try a word of kindness. Try some. Be kind to yourself, and then be kind to someone else, and watch it grow.
Yeah, that's the nuggets right there.
That's it.
Awesome. It's so good. And so, where can people find you, Karen?
Sure, they can find me on my website, which is Karen Karen -Levitt Leavitt Power of Discovery Life Coaching, and I have. They can fill in their contact information. I will contact them. I also have an 800 number. They can call me. I will do a free Power of Discovery call.
Awesome.
If they're interested to see, if it's a good fit and what I can offer for them to navigate their life into the next level of living fully.
Right. I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viewers, thank you. And viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Survive to Thrive. And I'm sending love out to all of you. And may you find and celebrate your resilient soul. Take good care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.